This is ground control.
So different from anything else. So today we are going to check out a very legendary artist called David Bowie. Now, I do have a little history with David Bowie in the sense that I remember there's a Christmas song, Little Drummer Boy, and I know that song, and he sang that with Frank Sinatra. I feel like that's wrong. That's wrong information, isn't it? But I also helped my friend Dervla with her makeup exams. She wanted to do an image of, oh no, it wasn't her makeup exams, it was just for her portfolio, her makeup portfolio. She wanted to do a David Bowie picture, so she did me as David Bowie, that iconic photograph. Like, that photograph is part of the zeitgeist. I will try and dig out that picture here. And when you guys suggested David Bowie in the comments, the consensus from more than one person was that I will recognize the songs when I hear them, but I am not recognizing the title of any of the songs. I've certainly not actively sat down and listened to David Bowie. Space Oddity is the one we're listening to today. I feel like it's going to be like percussion and kind of machiney noises, maybe? I know he's British, and obviously from that Christmas song, I know he's got a pretty good voice. But I'm curious to hear one of the songs that made him super famous. So join me on that journey today. A portion of today's video is brought to you by our old pals of the channel, Surfshark VPN. Surfshark keeps your online identity safe by encrypting all of the data that goes between your device and the internet. A VPN swaps your real location with a virtual one. Surfshark has 3,200 plus servers, and it can access and unlock content libraries and streaming services from other countries. So for example, you can get access to all of the Netflix libraries around the world. Something I find to be part of my personal responsibility is being able to access news websites that might otherwise be blocked to you from different parts of the world. It's no secret anymore that oftentimes we are not shown unbiased reporting and news coverage. Whatever your perspective, a VPN will allow you to unblock these websites and have access to coverage you might not otherwise see. So I have an exclusive Surfshark deal for you. Go to surfshark.deals/Diane, enter promo code Diane, and you will get up to an additional 6 months for free. Surfshark offers an additional 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have absolutely nothing to lose trying it. And thanks to Surfshark for continuing to support this channel. On with the video. David Bowie. Big question, will I recognize it when I hear it? 1972. Is it a music video?
Ground control to Major Tom.
I know that hook.
Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. 10. Ground control to Major Tom. 8, 7, 6. Commencing countdown, engines on. 3, 2. Check ignition and may God's love be with you. This is ground control to Major Tom. You've really made the grade, and the papers want to know whose shirts you wear. Now it's time to leave the capsule if you dare. This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door. Floating in a most peculiar way, and the stars look very different today. For here am I sitting in a tin can. What? 'Far above the world.
different from anything else.
Though I'm past 100,000 miles, I'm feeling very scared. And I think my spaceship knows which way to go. Tell my wife I love her very much. She knows. Ground control to Major Tom, your circuit's dead. There's something wrong. Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear? Am I floating on my tin can? Planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing I can do.
Whoa. Whoa. Well, that was most unusual. I did not know where it was going. He was playing the guitar, the acoustic guitar, and for the whole first half of the video, I couldn't tune into the acoustic guitar. It was only in the second half that I could actually hear the guitar itself. The ground control to Major Tom. I definitely have heard that hook before. It did sound familiar. I'm really interested in the story of the song, so let's check it out. Okay, I thought so. It's a play on the Space Odyssey Stanley Kubrick movie. Iconic movie. If you haven't seen, well, I don't know if as a casual watch you would enjoy it. It's just, if you're a video person, it's a must-see movie. Space Oddity is a play on the phrase Space Odyssey, although the title does not appear in the lyrics. The song tells the story of Major Tom, a fictional astronaut who cuts off communication with Earth and floats into space. What a way to go. Would you just keep floating until you hit a point in the atmosphere where you could no longer breathe? Or would you just keep floating eternally until your body ran out? Or caught some kind of, well, not caught some disease, or, you know, came to its natural conclusion? How would that happen? That would suck if you just kept floating for years and years, because, like, eventually it would get boring. But anyway, I've gone off on a tangent which has not a lot to do with the song, but I also find thoughtful. Bowie explained, in England it was always presumed that it was written about the space landing because it kind of came to prominence around the same time, but actually it wasn't. It was written because of going to see the film 2001, which I found amazing. Feel ya, David. We're on first name terms. I was out of my gourd anyway. I was very stoned when I went to see it several times, and it really was a revelation to me. It got the song flowing. It was picked up by British television and used as the background music for the landing itself. I'm sure they weren't really listening to the lyrics at all. It wasn't a pleasant thing to juxtapose against a moon landing. Of course, I was overjoyed that they did. Obviously, some BBC official said, oh, right then, that space song, Major Tom, blah, 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 that'll be great. But he gets stranded in space, sir. Nobody had the heart to tell the producer that. Oh my gosh, that is ironic. Or is it ironic? Because we use that phrase incorrectly often. Okay, I was right about the acoustic guitar. So there was a little juxtaposition in the song itself. When Bowie was recording the song, he wanted real strings and mellotron together. However, the musicians struggled to play the electric keyboard instrument. It was Tony Visconti who suggested Rick Wakeman as somebody who could keep the mellotron in tune. Wakeman recalled to Uncut. David said, "Get him. I was rehearsing with the 17-piece band in Reading, so I drove up. It was a doddle to do, to be honest. I loved the song. And credit has to go to David and Tony, as I don't think anyone else at that particular time would have heard Mellotron on that piece where it came in. There would have been other things more obvious to do. It was clever." Let's learn a little bit more about David Bowie. I feel like David Bowie was definitely one of those drug people that we have come across on this channel quite frequently. Oh my gosh. David Bowie changed his name so he wouldn't be confused with Davy Jones of the Monkees. I loved that TV show as a kid. We used to have this old TV set that only tuned into like 3 different stations. And one of the stations used to run reruns of the Monkees, and I freaking loved that show. So his real name was David Robert Jones. No, his eyes were not 2 different colors. I thought that was like his thing. People often claim Bowie had heterochromia, a genetic condition that results in having 2 different colored eyes. That is incorrect. Both of his eyes are blue. The ocular oddity that you notice is what is known as anischoria, or a permanently dilated pupil, which happened when Bowie was 15 years old and got into a fight with his friend George over a girl. His fingernail sliced into Bowie's eye. There were no hard feelings though. The 2 later collaborated on an album as the King, Bees and Underwood went on to design the album for some of Bowie's most famous records. Wowza. Oh my gosh! David Bowie and Elton John were friends as teenagers. They would frequently get together and talk about music. Shortly after Bowie's death, John admitted they had a falling out and hadn't talked in about 40 years. David Bowie's dead? Oh my gosh, he died of liver cancer. That is so sad. Okay, so Elton John said, "We used to hang out together with Mark Bolan, going to gay clubs, but I think we just drifted apart. He once called me rock and roll's token queen in an interview with Rolling Stone, which I thought was a bit snooty. He wasn't my cup of tea." I guess not. When he was 17 years old, Bowie formed the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Long-Haired Men. Gosh, times change. He said, "Anyone who has the courage to wear their hair down to his shoulders has to go through hell. It's time we were united and stood up for our curls." Okay, so the Apollo 11 lunar landing happened just 9 days after the release of Space Oddity, and that is why the BBC ran the song over its coverage. Oh, it also played inside the Tesla that Elon Musk launched into space. Wow. Through the years, Bowie had many alter egos. Ziggy Stardust was the most famous of them all. I think that's the one I did the makeup of. From 1972 to 1973, he toured in character as the glam rock persona until he abruptly announced that he would be retiring Ziggy during a concert. He later admitted, "Ziggy wouldn't leave me alone for years. That was when it all started to go sour. My whole personality was affected. It became very dangerous. I really did have doubts about my sanity." That is super interesting. I can relate on a micro level, your public persona versus your internal character. I think everybody can, like, whether you are an on-person camera person or if you just go to a job, like, you have different characters that you kind of put on in a way. It's not like one is a facade, but in one setting you'll be more professional. Then when you're out with your friends, you might be more funny. With a different type of friend, you might be like quieter. But I think that's really interesting about Ziggy Stardust, like potentially taking over him, because for being on stage, you certainly have to don an air of confidence, and I could imagine that being very conflicting internally. A lock of his hair sold for $18,750. Whoa. Did somebody think they could clone him? That is the only reason you would buy that and put it on ice, maybe. Oh, here's what the person said about it. The person who auctioned it said, "What brings you closer to your hero than a lock of hair?" The bidding started at $2,000. Early estimates thought it might only go for $4,000. I mean, you've loads of locks of hair. You can have my whole head of hair if you want to pay me that kind of money. Maybe not, though. I'm very vain. Well, that is super interesting. What a rabbit hole to go down. I feel like we have just touched the iceberg that is David Bowie. If you want me to investigate more songs by him, let me know below in comments, or indeed about anyone else you would like me to check out. That's it for today. See you guys on the other side. Bye.